Hey everybody, how is it going? Welcome back to the channel and to another stock market update. Haven't done a video in several days, so I figure I would give you guys a little update on what I am currently thinking. And as always, I'm going to start off with the QQQ, or the ETF for the NASDAQ. And as always, if you see anything decent in the market, make sure you let me know down there in the comment section. I really appreciate it when you guys show me your ideas, because I can't see everything that's going on in the market. But take a look at the QQQs, and we can see that the NASDAQ has rolled over and dipped below the 21-period exponential moving average, and it's having a very hard time trying to get above it. You can see the last time it came down to the 21, actually the last two times we had some nice bounces. Actually last three times, I guess, if you're counting at home, but we can't seem to get above it right now. So with this current price action that we got going on right now, if I had to guess, I would say probably the next move is going to be, if I could, actually I probably can make that red if I wanted to. But I'd be thinking it would probably be looking at something like this, because after a little, bearish consolidation like that, you tend to have some continuation to the downside if you can't get back above it quickly. Now, I didn't go short today, even though I really wanted to, because they are having that Jackson Hole meeting, I believe tomorrow, and they usually try not to release any negativity out of that meeting, at least not lately. So, and I wouldn't be a bit surprised if there's a positive reaction in the market to what the Fed says tomorrow. But just by looking at this chart right here, man, I really wanted to get short the market, because it just looks like we're probably going to end up having some more downside. I'm thinking I might regret not buying some calls on the SQQQ, but anyway, let me get that sucker out of there. But looking at this trend, it just looks like, I don't know, the more I look at it, the more I'm thinking the bear market rally, it's probably going to continue to the upside. And I actually saw a podcast, can't remember which one it was, but they were talking about this current bear market rally that we are in. And I guess there's only been a couple of them that have retraced more of the down move than the one that we are currently in right now. And I'm talking about this pivot point right here. And I believe that study was on the S&P 500, but these things move pretty closely. So I'm just going to keep the QQQ up, or the NASDAQ up. But it was basically saying that odds favor if we can punch above this pivot point. Like, say the market turns back around and makes it up to this area right here. The odds, historically speaking anyway, heavily favor that the bear market is over, because normally if you can end up retracing a little bit more than what we've done of the pullback that we've had in the market, or the bear market, statistically speaking, the bear market is over. If we can get up into this area right here, chances are, we are probably going, oops, let me see if I can move this thing around here. Sorry about that. Chances are, if we can get up into this area right here, we are probably going to, my God, I can't get this stupid thing to work. Probably going to end up having a move like this rather than a move like this, where we take out the previous low in the market. So I thought that was probably the most interesting data that I saw this week, and I wanted to share it with you guys. And and I think if we do end up getting into this area, I'm probably going to end up getting a little bit more long in the market. I ended up buying a pretty decent amount of stock today in my long-term portfolio, just because I'm thinking that with this move that we had in the market, if we do end up turning higher, I want to make sure I accumulate down in this area right here, because this is the area of uncertainty, where if you can end up, accumulating a decent amount of stock, and we do get that move up in the market, that's where you can have those really nice gains, 12, 24, 36 months out. But let me get all of this junk out of here. And let's flip over to the weekly chart real quick. If you look at the weekly chart, you can definitely see that the structure of this uptrend looks a lot nicer than this one right here. You can see we punched above that 8-period exponential moving average after consolidating for several weeks just below it, I should say. And that usually is more typical of a bottom than this kind of move right here. So we've had a little bit of consolidation under the 8-period exponential moving average on the weekly chart, and then we've been above it for the last 5 or 6 weeks or so. So I think even if we do get a move a little bit lower in the market, I think there is a much greater chance that this might end up being a pretty nice rally going forward. But going back to the daily chart, if we do get a pullback in the market, if we do end up getting a big down day in the market, this is what I am looking at right here that I am thinking could be a fantastic trading opportunity for me. So this is the area that I am really looking at right here. If we can get a move down here to where this trend line is right here, usually that fourth touch on a trend line ends up being at least a decent size bounce. It's not necessarily going to end up taking you to new highs, but usually that fourth touch on a trend line usually ends up being a pretty good short-term trade. Plus, we have the 50-period simple moving average right there, this blue line that's rising up into it. So I think there could be a pretty decent amount of support in this area right here. Let me call it 303 to 305-ish. I think there could be some heavy support in the market, and I will definitely be looking to get long some call options if we get down into that area. And if it does end up, moving lower, then just be a trade that didn't work out. But when you get these type of areas where there's multiple layers of support, I definitely want to at least take a shot at them. But I'm not going to jump over to the S&P 500 or the diamonds because they're all rather similar to what's going on with the Qs. But let's take a look at the VIX. Haven't looked at the VIX in at least a couple of videos. Try to look at this on a weekly basis, but I did talk to my Patreons about when the market gets down into this 20 area on the VIX, you usually end up getting a retracement in the market or a rise in the VIX, and that's kind of what we got. I just don't know if we're going to end up getting one of these little numbers right here where it consolidates for a little bit before we roll over big again, or if the low is in the market and then the VIX could continue to drift lower if we get a continued rally in the market. But I should have got more short than I did. Ended up making just a little bit of money on the market when the VIX got down here to the 20 area. But you can see we're in this very nice channel right here. When the VIX gets down around this 20 range, usually you end up getting a pullback in the market. And then when the VIX gets all the way in here up to the upper 30s, you end up getting a short-term bottom in the overall market. So that's why I like to keep an eye on the VIX. But next thing I want to look at is oil, because oil seems like it's really starting to pick up some nice momentum to the upside. It's finding support. This is just the USO, where the price of oil, it seems to be finding support at the 200, and now it moved above the 50-period simple moving average today. And I was noticing that a lot of these oil stocks that have been pulling back, especially the low price ones, there's definitely a lot of accumulation going on in them. It was actually pointed out to me by one of my Patreons. I was following one oil stock in particular, and the chart on it was a little bit messy, so I really wasn't paying attention to some of the other ones. But once it was pointed out to me, I started flipping through some of these lower priced oil stocks, and there's definitely some accumulation going on. But if we jump over to actually let me look at the weekly on the USO. You can definitely see that we've had several weeks of consolidation, and now we are popping above that 8-period exponential moving average. It looks very similar to this part on the chart right here. Had a nice little pullback, had some consolidation where it was being accumulated. Boom, little pop above the 8-period exponential moving average, and then you could restart that uptrend. We could be at the beginning stages of that right now in the USO, and you can definitely see what's going on with the XLE. The XLE has already looked like it has already bottomed. It's been holding above that 8-period exponential moving average, and it is blasting off today. And if you look at the XOP, see the same exact thing. A nice little pullback, move back above the 8-period, consolidation, and starting to rise higher. So it looks like the relative strength is really starting to get back into the energy sector. And honestly, if that happens, the market could end up rolling over. Usually when this happens, or I should say lately when this has been happening, the rest of the market has kind of been rolling over, because even though this is good for oil stocks, it's not necessarily higher energy prices is not really all that great for the economy. But let's take a look at some of the, let me go back to the daily chart here, and let's take a look at some of those lower price oil stocks. One is IMPP. This is one I was considering buying. I probably should have bought that one instead of the one that I did end up buying. But if we look at these on the hourly chart, we can definitely see that these things have been under accumulation over the last several days. You can see the big green volume spikes. IMPP is one that I want to be in if it breaks above this 44 to 45 cent area. And had a nice little gap up in the morning, but it sold off immediately. But then it started to solidify itself and rise towards the end of the day. So I really like the price action on IMPP. One that I have been watching is GTE. Let me show you what it looks like on the daily. This one has been kind of sloppy. I've been wrestling around with the idea of accumulating this one when it was just over $1 a share, and I didn't do it. But obviously, looking at the chart right now, I should have done it. It's all the way up to a $1.30 share, so right around a 30% move from when I was thinking about buying it. Actually, the fundamentals on this company are pretty darn good for a stock that's $1.32. I don't know. I might end up buying this one if it breaks above this area right here, right around, I don't know, probably call it 140 just to be safe, because we got some resistance right here at 140, but I think it looks like it's starting to carve out a very nice bottom, so I really like GTE. HUSA is starting to gain some momentum again. Look at this one. This one was one of the high flyers back earlier in the year, and it looks like just making a little bit of a rounded bottom. You can see some nice green, big volume spikes coming in. So I think, you know, if some of these lower price oil stocks start to get going again, HUSA could be one of those. Another one is CPG. The CPG is starting to blast off as well. This one is on the watch list. I'm really having a hard time narrowing it down, especially since I bought this one, VIVK. Bought it yesterday, and it actually stopped me out today. I was looking at it on the hourly chart, and I bought it as it started to round up here, and I was thinking if those lower priced oil stocks started to move, this one might have a nice little move. It started to move up slightly after I bought it, but then it just rolled over today. I bought in at a $1.92, and I had my stop set at 174, and you can see it came down here and stopped me out. But I'm continuing to watch this one. If it does make a nice little rounded bottom, I do think that this one could be a nice trade. If it does, I might end up re-entering a VIVK because I still like that pattern. And actually, before I end the video, I did make a day trade today. I haven't made many of those lately. Ended up buying NERV. You can see this one just had a massive up day. I only ended up making about 5% on this trade, but let me show you how I traded it. If you're familiar with my channel, you know how I like to trade these things in the morning. It doesn't matter what they do the rest of the day. I'm just trying to catch a pop in you know, the first half hour of the trading day or so. But see here, let's see here if I can get this chart situated just a little bit better. You see we had this initial pop up here, then it came down to just above the 8-period exponential moving average, and it started to rise up. This is the 1-minute chart, by the way. So I saw it was making a little bit of a rounding bottom, so I put in an order to buy it at $5.40, and that's where it executed. And I ended up selling it off at $5.68. So right about here, I was in the trade for just a couple of minutes, and I made a quick 5%. But as we can see, NERV just ended up having a nice explosion. I thought maybe I caught the trade perfectly, which, you know, I did pretty much catch it just about perfectly, especially once I looked at it a little bit later. It looked like it was going to roll over, because so many of these, after they get the pop-up, they just kind of fade. But that is not what happened. The buyers stepped in right about 10:20-ish, and then they just sent this thing skyward. So obviously, the correct play on this one would have been just to hold on, but you know, this is just a day trading strategy. But NERV had a very nice day today, and looking at this daily chart, this was the one that I wanted to trade for sure. The other one that I was looking at, it didn't really have as nice a pattern as NERV. You can see this one was definitely starting to carve out a bottom, and there was a lot of green big volume bars coming in, so there was a lot of momentum chasing this one, so I figured this one was the correct one to play. But I'm going to end it right there. I think I've rambled on long enough, but if you guys see any cool trades setting up in the market, or if there's anything in the overall market, in the NASDAQ or the S&P 500 that, you know, I seem like I might be missing, please let me know that. I always try to watch those every single day, but you never know what I could end up missing in those indices. And of course, if you see any other cool trades setting up, make sure you let me down there in the comments section as well. All right, well, thank you for watching my video all the way to the end, And until next time, take care, everybody.